What exactly are we addressing today? We're talking about hardware and or software controllers so that when you're using Logic Pro, you have a much more efficient workflow. Let's say you have an external device and you want to assign various parameters to some rotary knobs, to some sliders, perhaps on and off messages. This is what we're focusing on today. It's going to be next level material. Let's get right into it. Here we go. All right, guys, hope you're all well today. As stated, we're talking about control surfaces. Just a quick update for all of you that are interested in taking the 10 free courses that we're going to be offering for Logic Pro. We're calling it a Logic Pro Bootcamp. We're now taking registrations. Email support@hfmusicacademy.com. Okay, very good. Happy Saturday. Hope you're well. My name is Eddie Gray. And yeah, lots to cover today. But just to close the book, I've got the first 5 classes done. Really awesome content. I really think it's going to help a lot of people. So if you're interested in learning the program, start emailing my team. They will jot down your information. We'll start early pre-registrations. All of this material is going to be absolutely free for all YouTube subscribers. All right, we do have to talk about hardware controllers, software controllers. What exactly am I talking about? Okay, so everybody has a different setup, right? So some controllers are specifically for MIDI. That's what they do. That's what they're made for. Some of us have a keyboard with a couple of dials, and so if that's what you have, that's great. Whatever the case may be, the goal today is to learn how to make most of whatever it is that you're using. And it's a very deep subject. We should really kind of get into it. Hope you are well. Let's go. So again, control surface requirements. Let's do it. To use a hardware control surface, to give you tactile control over Logic Pro, you need to connect, add, and configure your control surface device for use with Logic Pro. The procedures and preferences are common to all directly supported control surfaces. So bear in mind, this may be automatic for some controllers. This may be manual. You have to kind of dial it in yourself. Something that we should talk about here is something called the Lua script. It says here, if you are using a music keyboard or a desktop controller that is supported, you'll notice that this is automatically going to be assigned to Logic Pro. So as soon as you connect it, the work's been done for you and your control surface is ready to go. Information presented in MIDI controller preferences and other topics may also apply. You don't need to use the additional options, but they are available if desired. If you're using a device, provides its own plugin, think Native Instruments Complete Control, refer to the manufacturer's documentation on how you're going to map it to the specific DAW. All right, to use one or more control surfaces, you need a Mac. For devices equipped only with MIDI ports, a MIDI interface, right? Because some of us will have different kind of devices like mixing consoles and things like that. And so if you don't have a MIDI interface, you will not be able to connect it. I actually originally connect most of my stuff through a MIDI interface, but today I'm just going straight into the computer. For example, if you're using a MIDI interface with 8 MIDI input and output ports with one Mackie control, think of like a a mixing console, and one Mackie Control XT. Not sure if this is a companion device. You need to use the 2 MIDI inputs and the 2 MIDI outputs. For all other supported devices, an available peripheral port, ideally this should be a direct connection rather than through a hub. So this is a big point of contention with a lot of new users. They're wondering why their hard drive is connecting on and off, or their USB controller sometimes works but sometimes doesn't. It's probably because your hub is not powerful enough. I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of different pros on this subject. It seems to be that MIDI in general is not necessarily a CPU heavy process. It doesn't require a lot of power, and so a hub should be substantial, and yet in some cases it will not be. So you have to play with this, and you have to find the right hub for your situation if you are going to be controlling various surfaces with a hub. I guess the last thing to say is if you're finding it limiting, you can buy a MIDI interface, connect that to one USB port on your computer. I think there's other ways to connect it as well. And then that should free up the hub for external hard drives, external displays, and the like. However, if the peripheral ports on your Mac don't match, for example, if you have a device that requires FireWire, but your Mac only offers USB, you may have to use an adapter or a hub. Some of these control surfaces will require a driver. So if you're troubleshooting and you're watching this right now, press pause, go to the manufacturer's website, download the necessary driver, perhaps restart the computer for kicks, and you may be good to go. Although I highly recommend you come back and check out the rest of the series. And you subscribe and you hit that notification bell while you're at it. All right, important. The driver software for your MIDI interface must support SysX communication. Consult the documentation for your MIDI interface. Okay, in a standard control surface, you can use a single control surface or several. Each device can run independently or can be part of a control surface group. All right, so we always talk about language on the channel, how it's very important. They're telling you, hey, this can be a very simple thing, or you can create what's called a control surface group, which is comprised of multiple devices. Thank you very much for making that easy to understand. The number of devices that can be used simultaneously depends on the number of free ports available on your system. Using multiple control surfaces allows you to control more tracks and channels, effects, and other parameters. All right, so the more you got, the more that you can do. But, please don't mistake this with the wrong message, and that message being that you need more in order to do more. You can actually do quite a lot just with the laptop or just with a desktop. So please do not get that twisted. It's great to have toys. It's great to have things that that keep you going or keep you interested, but not necessary at all. Okay. Allow you to control tracks, channels. Yeah, so it's nice to be able to control all of your faders with one independent mixer, but not all of us are going to have that, right? All right, page 1124. It feels strange just saying that. I got to be honest, like just uttering those words, because we're coming to an end here, and I'm just so present to how wild this journey has been, and I'm so excited to be able to share these new resources for you. I basically comprised all the information that I got from this reading, and I made it so that it's a lot more brief, right? I wanted to kind of package it so that there was some brevity and we weren't just reading, over 1,000 pages. But so I salute you if you've been on and you've been rocking with me this whole time. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, and I honor you and I respect you for doing that. All right, let's go. So we can connect in various ways, right? USB, an Ethernet cable. It all depends on your Surface's protocol. I'm connected via a USB for now, but to be honest, I do actually connect this into the MIDI interface by means of USB. Usually, I don't connect directly into the computer. I like to save as many ports as I can. You may need an adapter, or here, let me see you guys. What's up? Happy Saturday. All right, you may need an adapter or interface to connect your control surface. For example, if your control surface connects via MIDI, you may need a USB MIDI interface in order to connect your control surface, or if your device connects via Ethernet, you may need an Ethernet to USB-C converter. This is all stuff that you can find online. I'll notify my team, and if I can find a couple of those links, we'll put them in the description. Thunderbolt to USB, USB to USB-C, or what have you. There's a whole bunch of connections out there. Before connecting the device, read the installation instructions included with it and install the latest version of any appropriate firmware or driver. That's what I said in the beginning, right? Make sure you have the appropriate driver. And the firmware usually is something that you can download through Wi-Fi or the internet. Your controller should have some kind of software that came with it, and it'll know just by opening it up if you're on the current version of the hardware. So, for example, in my case, let me share my desktop with you. Let me go to a blank screen here, and if I type in launch pad, you see how this comes with a XL updater. So when I double click that, because oh geez, hold on. So now I need to. I need to go into system preferences, and then I need to approve it. This may be something that you have to do as well. So hopefully this helps you guys. I'm going to open it anyway. Okay, hopefully this works. If not, we're going to keep on going. Launch pad. Okay, so it's over here on my second screen. It's saying, hey, Launch Control XL firmware is up to date, right? Good to go. So this may be something that you have available to you. Please check that out. Not all control surfaces are built the same. I do want to point that out. But if that's the case, it's not that complicated. Just open up that software, that application, and you should be good to go. Let's see here. Some control surfaces allow you to connect foot switches or pedals as additional controllers. If your control surface features suitable connectors, you can use optional foot switches to remotely control playback and other functions. This is actually kind of cool if you think about it. You're a performer and you want to, stop and start playback. You can do that with your foot. You have the correct setup. This frees your hands for other controls and is helpful when using guitars or other instruments that require two-handed playing. I concur. All right, so we've talked about connecting, various ways to connect. If you want the surest way to get there, just connect directly to the computer for now. Let's say you have a complex routing setup. Just disconnect everything, and just so you get the information that you need to get without having anything kind of clog up the system, because we're about to transmit, receive data, do all sorts of stuff, then it's probably best to go about it this way. I know for sure if something goes wrong with somebody's studio, first thing I always do when performing troubleshooting with any client, company, I always say, unplug everything, let's just work with the computer, and let's see if this is a software problem. Let's see if it's a hardware problem, right? So it says here, most control surfaces transmit and receive data through a single cable. So there's something called bi-directional communication, where literally there's messages being sent to and from. And it's great because logic will tell the control surface when something is muted. And if you have the appropriate control surface, you'll see lights blinking or motorized faders, whatever the case may be. It's recommended that you connect control surface devices directly to your computer, right? Prefer that you don't do it through a hub. I do want to say that I do have, two different MIDI devices connected, well, three kind of, maybe 4 now that I'm thinking about it, to a hub. So, you know, just you got to pick your battles. You got to pick what's going to work for you. And obviously, there's a lot of troubleshooting that's just entailed with this in general. You try out one setup. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, start all over again and, you know, try out another setup. Daisy chaining devices can result in errors due to the amount of data transmitted in real time. I can certainly attest to this. I'm sure you can too. Once connected, press the power switch on your control surface. Some of these are going to be turned on by themselves. In the case of the Launchpad Control XL, this happens automatically. I don't have to turn anything on. Okay, and they're just giving you a heads up. Hey, sometimes the computer may be required to be turned on before or after, etc., etc. Connect a MIDI control surface. All right, so in my setup, this is kind of the way it looks for me. I have a desktop, I have a MIDI interface, and I have a control surface. Okay, and I actually have a couple connected to the MIDI interface. So to use a MIDI control surface with Logic Pro, connect your, and you don't have to do it this way, by the way. This only applies to those of you that have more than, I believe, more than one MIDI control surface, and you want to have a synthesizer connected, have some kind of mixer object, or some rotary knobs, some sliders, whatever. There's a ton of stuff on the market, so there's certainly no shortage on devices. It just depends on what you want to do. And if you want to free up the ports in the back of your computer, then this is the best choice for you. And luckily, it's not too expensive to get one of these MIDI interfaces as well. So MIDI uses separate ports for input and output, and you must connect both the MIDI input and the output to use the device. So in the case of, I have a circuit which is connected to the MIDI interface, the MIDI out is going into the interface, and that's how it knows to send that to the interface. Now, you can go more complex than that and route stuff and get all, but that's not how I roll. I like to keep things as simple as possible until they're not, right? Until you need to upgrade or until you need to further develop, then you get into research mode and then you work. Okay, let's see here. You should not daisy chain as mentioned before because of errors. Once connected, we talked about turning this on. Okay, let's go ahead and add a control surface to Logic Pro. Let me move some stuff around here. Okay. Some control surfaces such as Mackie Control are detected automatically when you open up Logic Pro. You can add other devices that are not detected automatically using the setup window. So some things are going to be detected right away, and some things you have to do and install manually. This is covered in the setup section for your particular device, probably. Some devices may require different or additional steps, but in most cases, you only need to select the name of the device you want to use with Logic Pro and then add it. When you add a control surface device, it is represented by an icon in the device area of the control surface setup window. So it looks like we're going to go to that now. If you're using a device that provides a plugin supplied by a third party, never heard of Nectar Panorama. I have heard of Complete Control. Then obviously you're going to have to refer to the instructions with that company, right? Because they might have their own specific way of doing it. Okay, so let's look at this. We're going to go to Logic Control Surfaces Setup. So Logic Control Surfaces Setup. All right, so for me, there's nothing here. It did not recognize the Launch Control XL. If we can get this running. Before we even get into the specifics, I'm going to go ahead and slide one of the sliders here. And I just want to see if it's being recognized. And you can see at the very top here that it actually is. So I'll turn a rotary knob. And look at that. It's telling me at the very top here, to be specific right there, it's saying, hey, this is, I'm not sure how to read this. I would assume, hold on, let me see. Yeah, so this is MIDI 53 or MIDI CC 53, and the value goes from 0 all the way to 127. So that's 128 plus 0, right? Or 127 plus 0, which is 128. So that's pretty cool. Same goes for the sliders. And then the note on and off messages are just going to play out, right? You see A3. If I hit the next key over, it's A sharp. So this is all inside of the launch pad, Control XL. Okay, so it's being recognized, and yet somehow it's not in here. So let's see if we can find out what's going on. So we're going to go to New, Install. Okay, so New. I know that Scan All Models is also good for automatic mapping. So I'll try this after. I don't want to ruin it, but let's go to Install. And I'm curious to see if this piece of machinery is here. So this is by Novation. So I guess I'll go to the bottom here. Launchpad control. That's the MK3. That's the X. It doesn't look like the XL is here. Nope. So what do you do if your device is not in here? That's interesting. So let me I guess scan. Let me go back here. I'm gonna go New, Scan All Models. Nothing was recognized. I was hoping something was gonna be recognized here. So yeah, that's a good question. What do you do if you don't find your model here? I'll look one more time just in case I skipped over it. Novation Launchpad, the MK2. I have the MK2 here. Maybe I should have picked that one. So these are all iterations of the Launchpad. And then the MIDI timeout. No, it's please restart your computer. Your problem persists. I'm canceling this. Okay, so hopefully this works for you. In my case, it's not working. You can also press enter, double click the device to initiate the scanning process. Okay, let me try this. New, install, and then I'll just try scan. Hopefully this works. Let's see what happens. Click add to add a launchpad manually. Note that you have to adjust all the settings. Okay, so that's not going to work. For some reason, it does not have my setup under its options. So some control surfaces don't support automatic scanning. Obviously, you just witnessed it. Such devices must be added. Okay, when you add a device manually, you also need to assign the appropriate MIDI in and out parameters. Preferable to install devices by scanning. Logic Pro is able to gather more information. Okay. I thought we just tried this. New, install, and you need to manually alter the MIDI in and out ports. Okay, so let's just pretend that it's this guy, I guess, and I'll hit add. And I would need to change the MIDI in and out ports from here. See if we can find these. So the in port would be the launch control XL. And where is the out? Here it is right here. Launch control XL. Now I don't know if it's launch control XL HUI, and that's or HUI. That's probably what I should have done for. Okay, it's still being recognized. That's good. That's probably what I should have done when I installed it, is used HUI. So if I go to install, let's go up here. Where's the there's a protocol. I think it's by Mackie. JK or let's see. Mackie HUI. So it could be this one. I'm just going to scan and see if it happens. No, it doesn't seem like it. All right, so this is something that I would need to kind of work on off screen. Because I use a MIDI interface, I've never really had a need to be honest. I thought we were going to be able to scan this, but this is music production, you know, at its finest, at its realest. You just kind of have to kind of roll with it. But we did, to reinitialize the support of all control surfaces, Logic Pro rebuild defaults. Let's see if we could do that. Go to Logic Pro, control surfaces, rebuild defaults. Okay, something's going on. I can see the scanning. I don't know if you could see that up here. Scanning for nucleus, doing all sorts of stuff up here. Okay, but we did alter the MIDI in and out ports, and it is actually being recognized. But in all fairness, it was already being recognized. Do I have to do anything else at this point? I don't think so. All right, let's get out of here. Let me hit the mixer. Okay. So even though nothing's being controlled necessarily yet, we're about to do some of that. And let's see what happens with this rebuilding of defaults. Let's continue on. Logic Pro supports automatic assignments of hardware controls for a variety of USB MIDI controllers. This is achieved through the use of Lua scripts. Devices supported by Lua scripts appear in the control surfaces setup. When a supported MIDI controller is connected, the knobs, the sliders, and other hardware are automatically assigned to smart controls. Okay, so that's why when I am using my rotary knobs or sliders, you're not seeing anything change, and that's simply because my controller does not have that specific script. But the good thing, regardless if you have it or not, you can actually manually assign all of this, and it isn't tough to do. So switches are assigned to on-screen buttons, for example, play, stop, those kinds of things. Knobs are assigned to knob screen controls. If you only have faders, on-screen knob controls are assigned to faders. Faders are assigned to fader screen controls. A lot of this is going to just be automatic, and you're just going to have to kind of troubleshoot, so that's good. Some USB MIDI controllers, such as those from Arturia, use MIDI Machine Control, MMC. We've heard that before in the synchronization chapter. If using a device of this type, enable listen to MMC checkbox in the file project setting synchronization. So that's another thing, is you have to figure out if your control surface is utilizing MMC. I don't know if this one is, but the fact that it's being recognized, that's enough for me personally. You know, you got to ask yourself the question, how much do I have to learn to get what I need to get so I can get to where I want to get to, right? So what is the finish line for you? What is the goal? And how much time should you spend troubleshooting, and how much time should you spend, in effect, in action, in execution towards that goal? And so my goal is not to necessarily to be, you know, some control surface expert. And so because I don't necessarily need to be an expert with control surfaces, then we learn what we need to learn as long as I can get it done, and as long as I can assign it the way I need to. Is there a more efficient way? Yes, probably. Is there a better way? Yes, probably. But it's not going to make, personally for me, that much of a difference. Now, I could see if you were a live performer, this would be absolutely imperative, right? The first time you connect, this is all just going to automatically assign. So it's going to be pretty basic. I think I showed you this last time, but inside of my preferences, it looks like the launch control is now being recognized. Oh, check this out. And I don't know if this is automatically going to connect now that I enabled it. I didn't realize that was part of what I needed to do. Okay, so maybe it looks like it's done a couple of automatic assignments inside here. I'm not exactly sure. We're about to find out. Let's see. I'm going to move a couple things around. Nope, nothing yet, but it is being recognized, and so for that, I am happy. Let me just see if there's any one of these. No. All right, let's keep this train going then. If you have multiple control surface units, as we've talked about, you can define how they relate to each other. by creating this. So this seems to be a big part of control surfaces in general. A control surface group consists of multiple devices that you combine to create a single, unified virtual control surface. This is cool. You can create up to 20 control surface groups. That's a lot. Each group consists of any number of physical devices. The only limiting factor is the number of available ports. You can independently determine the default behavior of each device in a group. Assignments created by Lua scripts are created within a separate top level modeless zone that is named after the device. These assignments are always active and interact with control surface group 1. So if I could show you something, you see how it says no mode? So this right here is kind of a mode that you can't really touch. It comes with the control surface, as I understand it. So that's what they're saying here is there's a separate top level. It's modeless. You really can't do anything to it. These are always going to be active and interact with control surface group 1. Okay. Let's keep going here. All right. Hold on. All right, so let's go ahead and create a control surface group. Hope this works. We're going to go to control surfaces, I think setup. The setup window, drag the icons of the control surfaces you want to group so they form a single horizontal row. I only have one here, so not helping the cause. But essentially you would drag it up here. Okay, the order of icons from left to right defines the order in which tracks and parameters are arranged. So if you do have two of these, you know, like the first controller will be assigned to like track 1 through 8, and then the next one 8 through 16 or what have you. If you want to control them independently, there's another way to do that as well. Arrange the control surface icons in separate rows. That's one above the other. I had no idea that depending on where you place this, it was going to affect their behavior. That's pretty cool. 1129. So this is a multiple group example with several devices. Top row consisting of the logic control on the left-hand side, and then the XT forms a single control surface with 16 channels. Logic controls channels 1 through 8, and then the next one over as stated 9 through 16. In the second row, the HUR, Huey, and Mackie control form a second control surface group controlling all the instruments. So this seems amazing. If you could pull this off, and obviously you're consistent and you're using it, this would be nice. So looks like they have individual settings: flip mode, display mode, plugin parameter, bank offset. There's a lot to learn here. In this example, the units in the top row could be used to control audio and MIDI channel strips. In the second row, the Huey could be used to edit group definitions, and the C4 could be used to control aux channel strips 1 through 8. The Oxygen 25 is Lua supported. I've experienced these before. They literally just plug and they're just working with smart controls, with playback functionality. The click track is pretty great. The physical placement of units and the way you use them are completely flexible. In most situations, the placement of your control surface units in relation to each other should be the same on screen as in the real world. You might want to have this all laid out just the way that it's set up in your studio. Okay. Let's go into Control Surface Inspector. The right area of the Control Surface Setup window shows the device area. This area offers a visual representation of every control surface and control surface group. Select an icon to set up and configure that device using the parameters on the left. So we have the Control Surface Inspector. You can configure directly supported control surfaces by editing these parameters, just like the Region Inspector, just like the Track Inspector. Any changes to settings are going to be embedded in the plist file or in the preference file named com.apple.logic.pro.cs. This is under users library preferences. So if you just copy and paste this and we go to a blank part of the screen, you hold Option, click on go to folder, hit Command V, and so you should find that in here. So if your control surfaces are not working appropriately, find that file, delete it, or at the very least just put it aside. It's this one right here, as you can see. And that is that. In my case, I almost kind of feel like pulling it aside, but let's just kind of keep it where it is. Okay. Keep going here. You've got all of the various parameters. So when you do output MIDI, where is it going? Choose the MIDI output for your control surface from the pop-up menu. MIDI input. Each control surface must be connected to an independent MIDI in and out port. And in my case, I'm just going straight in the computer. When the device is added, the automatic setup or scan procedure sets the appropriate MIDI input. If the MIDI port settings are incorrect, you can manually choose them here as well. There's another field right below that called module. Okay, letting you know what you're using, what the model is, etc., etc. Let's see if there's anything else that we could do here that will make some sense. The version field shows the firmware. Do I get that? No. Yeah, because it's not really recognizing my particular controller. Hold on, let me do that one. Honestly, I'm probably better off connecting back to the interface because it's not necessarily working the way it needs to. But it's all good. Again, it is being recognized. I can see that. Oh wait, it lost connectivity now. See if I go back to Huey, if we get hooked up here. Hold on. Okay. So there's something here, obviously. So yeah, right now we're kind of going through all the major details. This can be a 5-minute conversation for a lot of us too, okay? See, what I'm doing here is I'm just looking for the gem. I'm looking for the gem of the day. All right, let's keep digging. Color field. You can change that if you would like to determine the control surface bars. If you have that enabled inside of your track header, there's an option here to view. Let me do that again. To view color bars. I'm sorry, control surface bars. If you don't care about that, you can just go ahead and delete that. But if you see how this is colored gray, if I change this color, let me do this red, you can see that the control surface is in fact affecting or in effect controlling these areas, but I just need to map them. But it is showing kind of where it's I guess reaching is probably the best way to say that. And so let's keep going here. So when you add a device, it's going to be added right to the right of the other device. The device icon is placed to the right of the existing device. The new addition to the control surface is assigned a fader bank. So depending on how many faders are present on the other device, for example, if there are two control, well, we went over this already. So this all makes sense. Just depends on how it's all laid out. New to the scene, live loops. You might have a Launchpad MK3, MK2 for this very purpose. And I have the MK2, works out quite well. Translation is pretty cool. Let's go back to here, control surface. All right. So again, for most of us, we're not going to have to do all this. It's either going to happen automatically or we're just going to assign it manually. Live loops, scene offset. This offset determines which scenes the device scene buttons are going to control. So when I do control the, when I do connect the Launchpad, it recognizes live loops right away. It's pretty seamless. They did a great job, and I do have a video of that on the channel, which I will try and put in the description. Okay, let's keep going here. Control surface special parameters in Logic Pro. I know this has to do with the iPad and how it connects to the operating software. Some control surfaces allow you to define special parameters, such as fader touch sensitivity. When a device that offers such parameters is connected, these special parameters appear in the inspector. I don't think I'm going to have that. OSC, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen here. This is a pretty basic controller. It's nice because it has a lot of sliders, a lot of rotary knobs, but I don't think it's going to do that. It looks like there's something called the orientation field. I guess device rotation. Again, for the launch pads, if you have 2 of them set up, you can control up to, what would that be? I guess 16 tracks or scenes all at the same time. So that's pretty great. Logic control. Transport button click checkbox turns on or off the audible click when you press one of the transport buttons. So obviously this is contingent on if your device is going to accept that message. Let's see, do I see that here? Channel strip, fader bank, live loop column. No, I don't see that here. So it just depends on the kind of controller that, like if you had a complete control, I believe that you would see that kind of stuff. Let's keep going. Recording light. Do I have that here? I doubt it. Recording light. Don't see it. Nope. But yeah, you can control that as well. What about control surface group parameters? If you have created 1 or more control surface groups, you can configure these groups in the control surface groups parameter window, CS group. In my case, I guess it would be down here. Okay. So lots of different attributes here to set up. See what kind of parameters are we looking at? Clock display, display mode. I'm not going to have that, I don't think. No, it's right here. Yeah, this one doesn't have any kind of visual feedback, so I don't think that's going to happen. So if you have some kind of device that does have an LCD screen or something like that, then this is going to be super helpful. Channel strip parameter pop-up menu. Looks like you can set that up for all of you using surround. Some information for you there. The EQ parameter pop-up menu. We actually, oh, that's pretty cool. You can control all the which band it's controlling. That's awesome. How many pages you can have? Okay, cool. Control surface group send and plugin parameters. Okay, now we're talking about these parameters control different operational aspects of send and plugin parameters. So that's down here. Send slot 1, insert slot, send slot 1, send parameter destination. I really hope we get some assignments or some exercises here to be able to do this. Let's see. Drag vertically or enter an integer to set the currently selected send slot. The default is 1, which sets the first, I guess. Hold on. Let me set up a bus really quick. Bus 1. Nope. Yeah. It would be nice to somehow control it like this. I know we can control it manually. I get that. Just trying to see if there's anything useful here that will assist us. Otherwise, we're just gonna go guerrilla on it and just do everything by hand. Let's see, these control surface group parameters are set to. So this is more or less the same stuff. This isn't gonna help. Okay. Think now we go into a bit more of the hands-on material. Settings that affect the on-screen appearance and performance of control surfaces are changed in the control surfaces preferences. For complete documentation, go to the control surfaces preference window. Okay, so let's go Logic Pro and then Control Surfaces Preferences. Okay, so we're here, here, Preferences. Okay. Let's see what happens here. If you want to disable your control surfaces, this is useful for silencing motorized control surface faders when recording in the same room. It's also handy when troubleshooting. Sometimes there's just data that's going haywire, and so this is going to help. So go to Control Surfaces, bypass all control surfaces. Now, bear in mind, this is just a quick fix. It's not going to ultimately fix the problem, but at least you'll understand that it is a MIDI problem, and then you can get to the heart of the matter. So if you did ever want to bypass, you would hit bypass. You can see that it has been omitted from the control surface group. And then once we want to bring it back, it's as simple as that. Okay, what's up with modal dialogues? This appears on the LCD display of control surfaces. Examples of modal dialogues include authorization warnings, things of that nature. Modal dialog text appears in the upper row of the LCD. It scrolls after 3 seconds. You can scroll the dialog text manually. Okay, so how do we set this up? I'm not sure if this happens automatically or not. But basically, yeah, you get some messages about what to do. Pressing a control surface button below the display triggers the appropriate function in the dialog. Once you enter or hit the cancel button on the control surface, the dialog disappears and all controls and displays return to their previous state. When a file open dialog appears on screen, there is a file select dialog on the screen message appears on the LCD. Use your keyboard and mouse to perform the required operation. Okay, all right, looks like we get some tips here. Beautiful. You may find that using control surfaces changes the way you use Logic Pro. Slight changes to your working methods can help you use control surfaces more effectively. Following hints may streamline your control surface workflow. So if this is something that's important to you, I do believe that, like most parts of music production, customizing a template, and you don't have to overdo it, but it can be certainly very helpful. Setting up your screen sets as your most frequently used screen sets. You can access these directly on some control surfaces. On a Mackie control, for example, you can access them with the function keys F1 to F7, etc. Assign a full screen tracks window with the track automation view set to on for all tracks as one of your screen sets. This is kind of a cool idea if you think about it. Assign a full screen mixer window as another screen set. Okay, make use of markers. They allow you to quickly navigate from location to location. Most control surface features a number of marker shortcuts, so that could be helpful. Markers are also useful for creating or selecting cycle areas. So if you have, I don't have any markers here from what I remember, but if you did, let's just set up 2 really quick. I'll do that, and I will do that. And I guess I'll do one more here. So if I hit the key command U, because the marker is in focus, it has then created a cycle region around a rounded locator. Basically is rounding off to the next bar. And so then if we select the next marker, which is 2, this is not going to move, but if I hit the key command shift command period, you can see that that selection has moved over. But I do think there's probably an exact key command. Let's find out here. For and a number of other, so creating or selecting cycle areas. So let's go ahead and look for that really quick. Inside of key commands, let's do cycle. Create marker by cycle area. I think that is a good one. So that's not assigned to a key command yet. Set locators by next marker. So this would be control option. Okay, so check this out. That's pretty sweet. So if this is the intro, if this is the apex and or a breakdown, and if this is the main part of the song, then this is a great workflow here, because now I can mix this part, make sure it's equally or at least tastefully as loud as this section, and then of course make sure that the apex hits the way it needs to hit. So that's a nice workflow. Okay, let's keep going here. Table shows control surfaces directly supported by Logic Pro. The table covers only the control surface use of device with Logic Pro, not any other facility such as audio input or output. Specific control surface support for each of the devices can be found in the Logic Pro control surfaces documentation. So there is 2 more user guides of sorts. One for instruments that covers every single instrument in Logic Pro, believe it or not, and one specifically for control surfaces. So depending on what you want to do, this could be very helpful. Directly supported control surfaces communicate with Logic Pro via special plugin files located here. To view the bundle contents, control-click the Logic Pro application and show package contents. So why would you want to do this? Just so you see what kind of files are inside of your DAW. So what kind of MIDI devices are connected. When new control surface plugins are supplied directly by the device manufacturer, place them in the folders described above. So I believe this is a little bit more old school where you had to do a lot of this manually. But let's continue reading on here. Many supported devices provide an emulation mode. In essence, Logic Pro recognizes the device as an MCU or HUI. In some cases, the device may automatically switch to a DAW controller mode, or you may need to manually switch it to MCU or HUI. So these are probably the 2 most popular. You can see how in the beginning, when I wasn't sure what was going on, I just switched it to HUI, and I knew that probably would work, and it ended up working out well from what I remember. I think, did we change this back to something? What was it? Yeah, when we used HUI, I actually got translation. And I only learned that because when I first started, I had some issues with another controller. So anyway, going back to what they were saying, if you want to see the documentation that's inside of your piece of software, you want to control click on the actual application here, show package contents, and let's see if we can find something related to MIDI. Just give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Do you see how it says MIDI device plugins? In my case, here are all the various supported scripts. Microcontrol, Logic Control, Logic Remote. For those of you that have an iPad or an iPhone, the Logic Remote is a very, very respectable and formidable controller. You can do so much. You can perform, you can navigate, you can recall various patches in the library, drag in loops. I mean, very, very powerful. Okay, let's keep going here. All right. So then they start going over various devices, and they talk about like what they're emulating, a smaller version of the HUI. So yeah, this is when things definitely get just next level. You'll probably be in a really good spot if you just download the necessary software and firmware. Even though it may not connect automatically, even though your control surface may not work automatically, you can certainly get around it. So let's go down this path, and let's start doing this manually, should we? Most control surfaces depend on Logic Pro for functionality and cannot be operated if Logic Pro is not running. They do not provide additional functionality that is not available in Logic. One advantage of this is that new functions are added to Logic Pro, or as you create new assignments, your control surface can access and control them. Most control surface units do include a form of software called firmware. Firmware is similar to low-level boot software found in your computer, iPhone, etc. New behaviors such as improved control of motorized faders. You should periodically visit the manufacturer's website to make sure that you are up to date. The firmware, usually stored on this thing. Some devices may provide a dedicated firmware update app, as I showed you earlier. Other devices may be updated via MIDI dump procedure. Not sure what that means. Should new firmware become available, you can download the appropriate MIDI file and play it from Logic Pro. Steps required to perform a firmware update are outlined in the documentation of your specific manufacturer. So stay kind of included in their newsletters. Make sure you're on the up and up. Some control surfaces may require a hardware chip. I have not seen that, but apparently that is true. Oh, okay. Looks like I wanted to keep going here. You know what? I am going to keep going. Let me just let's get a word from our sponsors, and then we'll bring it back. So assigning hardware controllers. We talked about all of the setup, customization of controllers. Again, I have the Launchpad or Launch Control XL, which looks something like this. Again, the rotary knobs MIDI, the sliders MIDI, and also the note on and off messages are MIDI as well. So this thing's pretty sweet. Not necessary at all, just another one of those toys, but if you need it, if it's going to help you, then yeah, it's a good investment. I would say in most cases, they're just toys, though, in all fairness. So I'll leave it up to you, of course, and if it keeps you going, right, if it makes you happy, then by all means. All right, so let's finish this up. Let's look at the hardware controllers. How do we assign hardware controllers in Logic Pro? Assigning controllers lets you use faders, knobs, switches, and by switches, it could just be the touch of a key, right? Key switch, and other controllers to remotely adjust Logic Pro functions. These controls can be used directly or in conjunction with modifier keys. All right, that's actually something that's good to note. I will take that. You can assign any controller capable of generating a MIDI message to a parameter in Logic Pro. So any controller capable of generating MIDI, you can assign it to any parameter, plugin parameter, smart controls, anything inside of a plugin, any kind of rotary knob, XY pad, what have you. Most supported control surfaces feature controller assignments that become active when you add the device to your system. You can change existing assignments for supported control surfaces and create new assignments for both supported and unsupported devices. The default assignment of the F1 to F7 buttons on the Mackie will open up screen sets 1 to 7. So this protocol Mackie control already has everything pre-configured. If you're more specific with your setup, you might want to do it from scratch. You can reassign these control surface buttons to other commands, either alone or in conjunction with the Command Shift Option and Control modifier buttons. Remember that these are not the only modifier buttons. In fact, with all the new classes that will be coming out in the Logic Pro Bootcamp, that'll help you become a Logic Pro Power user, we have a specific module on keyboard modifiers. If you do want to register, highly advise you to email support@hfmusicacademy.com. We're taking pre-registrations now. This is really going to help you get to the next level. It's going to help you become your best self. If you ever wanted to really learn the program and learn it well, and dance with it and be able to move with it and write songs and win remix contests and, get contracts and, get into different labels, what have you, this is going to be a great launching pad for you to be able to kind of move and just explode, basically. All right, let's keep going here. You assign controllers to a parameter in the controller assignment window. Okay, so then now we're shifting from the automatic procedure, and we are going to be assigning ourselves. The controller assignment window has two views. There's two ways to do this. There's an easy way. In fact, let's highlight this. Where you can assign channel strip and plugin parameters, right? All basic stuff. And then you have the extensive expert view. This is where you can create and edit any type of controller assignment, including global automation and control surface group assignment. So for most of us, the easy view is going to do it. It's fine. And then there may be some situations where you have to shift over into expert view. Easy view is available only when you select show advanced tools. Yep, we know that. We got that. And remember that all the controller assignments are going to be embedded in the control surfaces preference file. And we just went through that a little bit earlier today. You don't need to save controller assignments or preferences or settings. These are going to be automatically stored inside of this file when you quit Logic Pro. All right, we'll go through Easy View, and then I think that'll be good for today. So Easy View offers a stripped down window for you to assign control. And actually, let me bring you in because sometimes I will space out on this part because I get so locked in, guys. I'm just right here with you and I want to be present while we have our time together. And I have so much great content coming soon. I'm so happy to be able to provide this for you. And I really hope it's helping. That's really the bottom line at the end of all this thing. I am seeing everything grow. I'm seeing everything develop. And I'm just stoked to be a part of your journey. And thank you for being a part of mine. All right, so desktop. And let's go. So yeah, you can assign controllers to channel strip and plug in parameters and to change the target track that assignments may apply to. Let's see if we can break this down here. Easy View. This is what it looks like, right? Very clean, very simple. There is a button which allows you to open the expert view. You know what? Let me actually pull it up. So you have Easy View or Expert View. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Go to Control Surfaces, Learn Assignment. You know what's interesting? For me, I'm not able to access Easy View. I wonder why. Oh, hold on. No. Okay, that's interesting. Did you see what I did there? I just disabled it and then enabled it, and I think that might have done it. Yeah, it actually did. So this is Easy View. So for example, if I click on this specific volume slider, track number 4 or 29, depending on how you look at it, I click on it one time over, and the parameter that is being read is volume, and it is a channel strip, right? That's the selected track. And then as soon as I drag a fader, in this case, I'll drag fader number 1. You can see that it's controlling it. There has been an assignment. What's the input message you say? It's control change, channel 9, 77, and then low. So I don't know what that means, to be honest. But you can see that I've assigned this. Now, if I wanted to, I can continue to assign more and more stuff. But this is at the most basic level how this is going to work, okay? So yeah, pretty easy stuff. Let's see what else we have. There's a back button. Actually, does this look a little different? No, it's pretty much the same. I just don't see the easy and expert view. But what's the link button going to do? It's going to turn on to automatically select the assignments that matches the most recently received MIDI message. I would say that's important to leave that on. Yeah. Channel strip pop-up menu. Choose whether the assignment applies to the selected track or matches the channel strip number. So, I'm curious if I select a track, audio, instrument. I'm curious to see what that does and how it could refine my selection. I mean, I did it very simply there. Open the controller assignment window. Okay, so what's the difference between, so what's this called? Using controller assignments in Easy View, okay, and then open controller assignment window. Okay, so once you've set up the assignment, so this is what this is for, and you can use it with Easy View or Expert View, which gives you just way more information. In fact, can I see what I just did? Is there a way to see here? And I just assigned volume with the, let me resize that. Can I resize that? No, I can't. So yeah, here it is right here. Remember we talked about no zone. So this is now not part of a control surface group, but just always active. And so here's the launch control XL. It's recognizing it. And then the minimum value is 0. That's how I'm able to go all the way down. And then 127 is max. Let's say I decided to change that to 50. I believe that this is going to affect performance. You see that on the slider here. It's not working all the way. And let's go back. Scaled, various modes. This is going to turn on and off, on and off. So that's not going to work for what I'm doing, right? You're going to definitely want direct doesn't do anything. What did I have before? Was this? I think it was scaled. Yeah, this is nice. And so there's different modes and then feedback, all sorts of good stuff in expert view. Let's go into the controller assignment window. So once you've made all of these, where can we find? I think it's Option Command K. I could be wrong about that. No, wrong one. What's the key command? Command K. Is that really it? Oh, that's not it either. What's going on here? Control surfaces, controller assignments. Hold on. Oh, so that was wrong. Or not wrong, but needs to be updated. So wait, is this just it then? I think this is just it. So Shift Option K. All right, yeah. So there's easy view and then there's expert view. And so once you've assigned something, it shows you all of the various parameters and all the behaviors inside here. From what I remember, OSC has to do with the iPad and how it relates to the iPad. Please fact check that. Assign and delete controllers. So for whatever reason, you want to, delete something, you can use the learn to process the assigned controller channel strip like I showed you earlier. This sends a MIDI message to Logic Pro that's teaching it which controller you're assigning to the chosen parameter. So let's see here. We did that. And I read something yesterday as I was preparing for today's session. I thought was pretty cool. And I don't know if this has been outdated or not, but like, for example, let's go slider number 2 or track number 2. And it said to hold Command L and then just keep holding Command. And then after that, you run the slider. So let's try this. Command L. I'll let go of L, but not Command, and then I'll slide the controller, and then I let go of Command, and it doesn't seem to be working. Why not? Let's see. Open. No. Okay, let's try that again. Maybe because I have to click on the parameter first. I think that's what it was. Okay. And then when the whole point, you see how it's in learn mode. From what I remember, when you let go of Command, it's out of learn mode now. I'm not sure if you caught that, but click on the parameter that you're trying to change. In this case, track number 2 volume slider. Hit Command L. Keep your thumb on Command. Let go of L, and then hit the parameter or assign the control surface parameter that you want to assign, and then let go of Command, and hence you will be out of learn mode. So that's a nice little workflow there. So now I'm controlling, in essence, if I open up the mixer, track 1 and track, wait a minute, this looks like it's been assigned. Okay, so let me change this one now. So I'm going to click on that. Command L, I'm still holding Command. Okay, hopefully this works. I let go of Command. I am out of learn mode, and I will reassign this because I think I made a mistake earlier. So that's fader 1, and then this is fader 2. And this is kind of how this works. Pretty sophisticated and also simple at this level. Move the hardware controller, right? Just showed you this workflow. To make another assignment, select another parameter. I like to be in and out of learn mode because you can create multiple assignments and it can get very confusing. So beware of that. It looks like you can assign a controller using a modifier key as well. So, for example, I would hold control. So right now, you know how I have this fader on 1? Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll hold control this time while moving the fader to, I don't know, play with pan or something. So let's try this out. So we're going to hit Command L as before, hold the modifier key as you select the parameter that you want to assign. Does that make sense? That's what we're doing here. And we click the learn mode button. If Logic Pro receives it, the MIDI message, while you're holding down the modifier key, the learn mode is deactivated when you release the key and the learn process is complete. Do not release the modifier before Logic Pro receives it, because then it's just going to do something else. In this situation, be sure to click the learn mode button when you are finished to end it. Okay, so let's try this. This time I'm going to control pan with slider fader number 1, but I'm going to hold control first. So I'm going to hit Command L. I'm holding control, and then let's see if I could pull this off. I'm going to drag that slider. Okay, so I'm letting go of everything now. I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'm just going to go reassign. And I'm hoping this is going to work. Oh, no, I didn't do it. It did not recognize the keyboard modifier for whatever reason. Because originally that was controlling volume, and now it's all mixed up. So if you wanted to delete that assignment, click on it and simply delete, and it will no longer control it. Okay? I'll delete that one too. Okay. So hit me up. Let me know if you find something different as you select the parameter. Okay, so let me actually, you know what? Because I didn't select the parameter this time. Okay, so this time I'll do, hold on. We do command, click, and then I'll hit, go learn mode, slider number 1. Okay, so now that's, thing is I don't see that keyboard modifier, but we're going to try it out anyway. So now this time I'm going to hit just simply learn and just drag the slider. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, cancel. Sorry, I want to hit the volume without the modifier key, then hit learn. That may have done it. Oh no, it's going to do this again. Hold on. Oh, it's, yeah. That really wasn't the point, but yeah. So there's something going on. I have a disconnect happening over here. So go ahead and try that. Let me know if it works for you. It may be, you know, a thing of the past as well. So who knows? Assign a series of controllers. Let me see. Yeah, let's do this last one. Logic Pro includes a shortcut that makes it easy to assign a series of controllers to a series of similar parameters. For example, you can use this shortcut to assign a series of faders to volume, to assign a series of knobs to other channel strip parameters such as pan, solo, mute, to assign a series of controllers to a set of plugin parameters. How do you do that? Logic Pro Mixer, or in any plugin window, select a parameter. Okay, let's go to strings. Let me see if I could do something else. Okay, fine. Let's do the mixer. I guess I'll do a pan for now. Let's see what happens. And then it says learn assignment. Alternatively, you can use the learn new control assignment key command. Controller assignments window opens in easy view. And actually, I do want to show you something. If I go up here, because I've clicked on the parameter, look at that. It says learn assignment for pan. It already knows that this is what I want to do. So if I click on volume for, let's say, track 3, I go back to control surfaces, it says, hey, now you want to learn volume. So that's pretty cool. This is all kind of happening in the background. Assign the first controller in the series to first parameter. For example, assign fader 1 to control volume 1 for channel strip 1. And assign the last controller in the series to the last parameter. For example, assign fader 8 to 16. The number of controllers between the first and the last must match the number. Do you want to fill up in between? Whoa. We got to try this. We got to try this. I want to make sure that I understand what's happening here. Hold on. Assign the first controller to the first parameter, and then, okay, we're going to try it. I don't know if it's going to work, but here we go. So the first volume fader, I'm going to learn now. Okay. Then I will get out of, no, I'll click the last one, which is here, and then I'll click on the, okay, but it didn't ask to fill in between. So let me get out of learn mode. So not sure, for example, assign a fader 1, and then you assign the last controller in the series to the last parameter. That's what I did. I only have 8 sliders. For some reason, it did not work. You can only use shortcuts for knobs. Alternatively, the controller number can be encoded. All right, that would have been pretty sweet if I could have automatically aligned it like that. Did not seem feasible in this case. All right, next time I see you, we're going to go into expert view, and we're basically going to wrap up this series. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. Again, it means the world to us to have been able to do this, especially during this interesting time. And I really do hope it's been a rock. I really hope it's been supportive. And most of all, I'm glad that we have been able to meet and cross paths during this unique time. I know we're going places. Of that, I am certain. So just have faith, regardless of what's happening, regardless of external circumstances, regardless of what you're currently facing. The bottom line is that you have to get ahead, and it's up to you. So it's possible, and it's necessary for you to get ahead. Wishing you the very best on this Saturday. I'll catch you very soon. Hit that notification bell to catch the last session. Eddie Gray signing off. Peace.